Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Steve Corsi. I have the distinct honor and privilege of serving as the President and CEO of Volunteers of America, Western Washington. Many of you may, or at least some of you may not know that VOA Western Washington has been in the Puget Sound region since about 1898, providing basic services for people in need. In fact, before COVID, I don't know what the number is right now, but before COVID, we were serving about 315,000 people a year. That number certainly has grown considerably. Before we jump in to hear our presenters this morning, I want to share a few stories from my own youth that many of you also may not know. And I apologize if I get a little bit emotional. I hope not, but I grew up in poverty. In fact, I would say that it was abject poverty. Until I was 13 years old, I didn't have a bed to sleep in of my own. I slept in a hand-me-down sleeping bag on the living room floor of my parents' home. Still have that, by the way. It's good to remember where you come from. My mom tells the story, mom and dad, of when I was a baby, and we, as a family, we got down to the point where we had one potato in the house. Mom and dad went without food for about 3 days. And mom boiled the potato. She mashed it and fed half to me on one day and then half the next day. The third morning, they received a tax refund check, fortunately in the mail, and were able to cash that and buy groceries. This would have been 1965. But not every family is so fortunate to be rescued with a tax refund check. The last story that I'd like to share with you is a little bit more on the fun side, and that is, as I was growing up, until I was 13, when dad changed jobs and got better employment, we would get to go to this little up-and-coming fast food restaurant called McDonald's about once a year. And when we would go in, my little sister and I would get a hamburger. We wouldn't get fries, we wouldn't get a Coke, we wouldn't get a quarter pounder. We would get a hamburger. And if, for those of you who remember, hamburgers were 25, 28 cents a piece back then, but that was all that we could afford. When I turned 13, I can remember distinctly walking in and mom said, "You can get anything you want." And I said, "Anything?" And she said, "Yeah." And I said, "Could I get a Big Mac?" I had always wanted to try one. She said, "You can get two if you would like." So I got a Big Mac, and I have to tell you guys, at 56 years old, I still am in a love affair with Big Macs. So anyway, remember that. I've been working to raise families and individuals out of poverty for years. I want to thank each of you for engaging with us in those efforts. Welcome to our first Hope is Brewing celebration. We're excited to have all of you with us. We're thrilled that you're taking part of your morning to celebrate giving hope with us. That's really what this is all about. In classic Pacific Northwest style, I hope everyone is enjoying their coffee. For fewer distractions and better flow, we're going to keep everyone but our speakers on mute. So when you would like to applaud, rather than speaking up or applauding on screen, simply raise your mug and show everybody that you're, I guess, enjoying your coffee. I want to begin by acknowledging that we serve the communities in and live on the ancestral homelands of the Coast Salish peoples. And I would also like you to join me in expressing our deepest respect and gratitude for our indigenous neighbors, the Tulalip tribes, the Snohomish tribe, the Stillaguamish tribe, and the Sauk Suattle. Please raise your mug with me. We're going to start right now as we thank and show our respect for our tribal neighbors and friends. I would also like to acknowledge and thank our elected officials who are in attendance with us today. Regardless of where you find yourself politically, this is a time when it takes courage to be in office and seek to represent the best interests of our communities. Having been an appointed politician, I can attest that these are demanding and often thankless jobs, and we owe a lot to those who work in our cities, counties, state, and federal offices to make life better for all of us. Once again, please raise your mugs in thanks. And then finally, or at least my final thank, would be to recognize our corporate sponsors. At the community changemaker level, we have the Tulalip tribes and Premier Wealth Washington. At the division sponsor level, we have WSECU and Windermere North. And at the champion sponsor level, we recognize All Things HR and People's Bank. Once again, please join me in raising your mugs. It's great to have 30 minutes of hope to share with you. A little later this morning after this event, a couple hours after, I'm going to celebrate with a Big Mac. If anyone would like to join me, you are always welcome to come down to the office at noon, today or any day, and I'd be happy to walk to McDonald's with you, and Big Macs are on me. Thank you again for being here. Our campaign is all about giving food, shelter, and support for mental health to our neighbors in need. One last thing from me. Since arriving in Western Washington, I've been inspired by the outpouring of generosity from our communities. I just commented on it yesterday at a Human Services Executive Council meeting. As I engage with groups of leaders like you, and we identify struggles and problems, people and organizations, both public and private, stand up and find ways to meet needs together. That's what this is all about. I'm incredibly grateful that each of you are here with us and care about the individuals and families that we serve. Now we're going to share a short video to tell you more about us. I would ask that you share the word, or spread the word, and tell all your friends and neighbors about VOA so that we can continue to provide the services we do to the people that we do. Thank you for being here. Jason, please share the video.
We here at the county can provide resources, but somebody's got to actually take the next step and connect with the folks in need, and that's what Volunteers of America does. And we really can't effectively address and respond to the crises that we have unless we do it together.
It's that goodwill feeling in your heart that does it. Volunteers of America has been kind of the glue that keeps us together in our community.
Good morning. Steve, I have to tag team a little bit on your Big Mac story. And obviously I'm a few years older than you are. I remember on occasion going out for hamburgers at Lou's Hamburgers in West Seattle. I don't know if anybody else is from West Seattle. That's where I was born and raised. And we had, when we got to go out, 19-cent hamburgers at Lou's. Yeah, so there we go. And just a shout out, that video, I love it. I've watched it a number of times and it impacts me every time that I see it. Really well done on the video. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Marcy Larson and I'm the chair of Team Food. I recently retired after serving for 17 years as the superintendent for Mukilteo School District. And my husband Grant and I have lived in Snohomish County for 20 years. So, did you know that 1 in 4 families in our county are food insecure? 1 in 4. And Volunteers of America obviously has seen a surge of families at their food banks and food pantries since the pandemic began. And they've given out 3.1 million more pounds of food this year than last year. And since March, VOA's food banks and pantries have fed over 88,000 kids, teens, and adults. So I chose to lead food team because with the pandemic and the rise in unemployment, there's obviously a record number of people struggling to put food on the table, not only for themselves, but for their loved ones. And you know, there's more than enough to worry about these days without having to worry about the most basic of needs, food. But I know that together we can, and we have these past 2 weeks, made a difference. So now I'm really excited to share with you what our team food has accomplished. So as of this morning, our team has raised $30,254 from 92 different donors. Let's raise our mugs for the awesome job that Team Food has done for the people in our community. Thanks to all of the team members. So now, to give you an example, I'm delighted to introduce a video about Volunteers of America's Linwood drive-through food pantry, which they opened in response to those in need during the pandemic.
I can't believe how happy people are when they get their boxes and they're ready to take off. It just actually overwhelms me most Thursdays.
Well, one of the most gratifying things about being a volunteer here with Volunteers of America in the food pantry is just seeing the parents and the children drive up, and they're all smiles and they're very grateful for what we do. And as they drive off, to see the waves and the smiles of the children is just, it makes it all worthwhile.
It's a new experience for a lot of families right now to need to seek out assistance. Now we have lots of families that are coming and saying the cupboards were empty yesterday, and so this is allowing us to refill them.
When you help others, sometimes when you need help, it comes back to you.
Yeah.
Good morning. My name is Veronica Torres, my husband Leo, and I have family of 7. 4 kids, my mom, and the 2 of us. I am very grateful that Volunteers of America opened the food bank on Casino Road. It's been really helpful because it's so close where I live. In this difficult time, the food bank really helped us. It gives me enough food and helped me with the diapers for my daughter. I am very happy to see how the food bank has grown and be able to help more people in the community. I want to share a big thank you to all the people who help keep the Casino Road Food Bank going. Thank you very much, and God bless you. Adios, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Veronica, and your beautiful family for sharing your wonderful selves with us and your story this morning. For those who I haven't met yet, my name is Dr. Steve Woodard, and I'm the chair of Team Shelter. As many of you are seeing me for the first time beyond the photo that's been advertised, I feel compelled to let you know that this campaign did not age me. That's just an old photo. What may have aged me, however, is that I'm also working at Edmonds College as the Dean of Access and Completion. I also am an elected official. I have the honor of serving on the City Council for Mountain Lake Terrace. And if that's not enough, I have recently joined, honorably, thank you, joined the VOA Western Washington's Board of Directors. Did you know that renters in America did you know that nearly a third of renters in America didn't make their August rent payment? And that the average cost of a 2-bedroom home or house apartment here in Snohomish County doubled between 2010 and 2019. VOA Western Washington has responded to that housing crisis by leading our county and keeping people housed. Between July 1st and mid-September, VOA Western Washington gave out over $2.2 million in rental assistance to keep 610 families housed in Snohomish County. To put that in perspective, that means that in the last 10 weeks after July 1st, we've given out over 260% more in rental assistance than in the previous 7 years. And VOA Western Washington has hired 10 new COVID community outreach counselors to travel throughout the county serving families in need. I care about this issue, and I chose to lead Team Shelter because homelessness, or the threat of homelessness, has touched almost every family in our beautiful country, mine included. For the majority of my adult life, we have struggled to keep my parents in stable, suitable housing. My brother and his family lost their home as he battled back, thankfully, from stage 3 cancer. My sister, however, was not as fortunate, and unfortunately is no longer with us, quite frankly, in part due to the interconnected struggles that are associated with housing, food, and of course, support insecurity, My family's stories are not unique, they are unique, but they're not uncommon. So that said, my goal as chair has been to significantly reduce the number of people in our beloved Snohomish County who may experience this type of unfortunate chapter in their story. That said, now let me share with you what Team Shelter has accomplished. And I hope all of my Team Shelter folks are here. As of this morning, our team has raised $8,979 from 39 different donors. And I can promise you by the end of this call, we will break the 9,000 mark because my family will be donating a little bit more money, and I encourage all of you to do the same, both today and throughout the year. Please raise your mug in honor of Team Shelter. Thank you. It is now my honor and privilege to share with you all a video illustrating VOA Western Washington's Giving Families Shelter.
When COVID hit, so many people were suddenly not able to work for the first time. It was and is so overwhelming for them. When you work with people who were thinking of living out of their car with their infant, you just see the enormous need and the power of our support here.
Well, quite honestly, I had never needed help before. I moved in here about 2 years ago, and I was working pretty much full-time, raising a granddaughter and living here. And when the COVID hit, I ended up needing the assistance. And I'm not homeless. I have a place to live. I got food and everything I need, and I'm trying to get back on my feet again. They touched my life, and they blessed me with everything that I needed in order to not feel like I have nothing.
Wow. That was a great video. Sorry, I'm fighting back tears so I can do my part here. But good morning. My name is Adam Braddock. I'm a local realtor, a dad, and an ultra runner, and I'm honored to be co-chair of Team Support. When I became involved with this work, I learned some startling facts. Calls to VOA's suicide lifeline rose by over 66% this spring and summer due to increased anxiety and depression that people are feeling as a result of COVID-19. And during the first 7 months of the year, VOA's clinicians answered over 7,700 crisis chats from people writing about their struggles through an awesome service at imhurting.org. Just a great place where people can go, and especially kids, to share what they're feeling with somebody anonymously. So I care about this issue, and I chose to co-lead Team Support because I've had many friends turn to me over the years at low times. And there was a time after a friend died by suicide that I had my own thoughts of suicide. I questioned my worth and purpose. I hadn't spoken to my father in 6 months. I'd struggled for years academically after my parents' divorce, and I lacked drive and direction, while my friends seemed, around me seemed to have it all figured out. It's so important that we remove the stigma from talking about mental health challenges and realize that we are not meant to do life alone. And we are here to share our triumphs and especially our burdens with those around us. So the 24-hour crisis line offers a roadmap of support to get life back on track for folks. Now it's time to share with you what Team Support has accomplished. As of this morning, our team has raised $8,610 from 41 different donors. So please raise your mug to Team Support. And I'm honored now to introduce Dama Moore, my co-chair for our Team Support and an outspoken advocate for mental health support. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. I'm honored to serve on this as co-chair with you as well, too. My name is Dama Moore, and I recently retired for the second time after a brief stint as president and CEO of Economic Alliance Snohomish County, which followed my long career at Puget Sound Energy. When I was asked to co-chair Team Support, it was after I worked with VOA on a suicide prevention campaign in early September, which was, by the way, Suicide Awareness Month. I was interviewed a couple times to help raise that awareness, once by the Mukilteo Beacon and by King 5 News. And the link for the King 5 article will be shared toward the end of this event as well, too. I care about this work because 9 years ago, our son Justin died by suicide after struggling with depression. He was only 26 years young. And this tragic event impacted his friends and family in a way that no one should ever have to suffer. Suicide prevention, as Adam points out very astutely, as a matter of fact, suicide prevention begins with awareness. Awareness of yourself, awareness of what others are dealing with, and awareness of the resources to help those struggling with mental health issues, such as anxiety and depression. Adam also pointed out this pandemic has placed more people in a fragile state of anxiety and depression, which in turn has put a big strain on support resources. You saw in the video that VOA is a very important resource for those that are struggling, and the community engagement makes a difference in all of these fields, such as suicide prevention. In my previous careers, working with governments, businesses, tribes, and communities around the state, these issues of hunger, shelter, and mental health have become very personal. So I truly hope everyone on this call is aware of the resources that VOA and others have to help people struggling in these times. Please consider how important your donations and support are to the community, and join me as we raise our mug knowing that your gift will make a difference. And now, I'd like to introduce the chair of the VOA Board of Directors, Bob McMahon.
Thanks, Tom. And hello, everyone. I'm Bob McMahon. I'm a certified financial planner with Premier Wealth Washington, and I've had the pleasure of serving on the VOA board for over 8 years now. During that time, my family and I have seen the VOA do amazing things in our community. And I just have to say, wow, today, the generosity and leadership displayed in this Give Hope campaign has been remarkable. So I think we should take a moment and recognize the key volunteers that made this happen. So everybody's got their camera on. If your camera's off, please turn it on. I'd also encourage you to use the chat section below for your comments as we go through and recognize these folks that made this possible this year. First, our Team Food Chair, Dr. Marcy Larson, and each of the Team Food Champions, and I think their names are going to be displayed in the chat section. So let's, oh, they're going to be on the screen, even better. All right, so let's raise your mugs to Team Food. Thank you. Next is Team Shelter, Chair Dr. Steve Woodard, and each of our Team Shelter champions, and their names are listed there as well. So let's raise a mug. Thank you for all you've done. And finally, our Team Support co-chairs, Donna Moore and Adam Braddock, and each of the Team Support champions. Again, let's raise our mugs and just thank you for all you've done. Last September, we came together for our annual Inspire Hope breakfast, and we raised $78,000 from 140 donors in support of the work of VOA. And although we couldn't get together in person this year, we managed to put together a Zoom meeting and came together as a community to support our neighbors again. And I'm thrilled to report the results of our first ever virtual campaign. This year's Give Hope 2020 campaign has raised $114,116 from upgraded $115,785 from 224 generous donors, 103 of whom are giving to VOA for the first time. So I want to thank all of you for supporting your community. And again, let's raise our mugs. Now, some of you may not have had the opportunity yet to make a gift, and it's not too late. In fact, Wells Fargo has generously pledged to match any gift up to $5,000. So that means if you or somebody in your circle donates by 5 p.m. tonight, their gift will be doubled. So please consider a gift to help with this work and so that we can take full use of Wells Fargo's generous gift. Because here's the reality, folks. Since COVID hit, we've actually had pretty good weather. It's been nice, and that's going to change as we roll into Christmas and Thanksgiving. It's going to get dark, gray, rainy, cold, and as a result, more and more individuals and families are going to be in dire need of the services that VOA provides. And you can help. So please consider a gift to VOA to help those most vulnerable in our community over these coming months. We've got the web address in the box below, and if you can help us finish strong in this campaign, that would be amazing, because there is an incredible amount of need out there, and it's just going to continue, especially through the winter. So now we've reached our time, and I just want to close by saying how much I appreciate you for being part of this movement and for giving hope to your neighbors who need it most. If you've been inspired by what you heard today, there's lots of ways to get involved with VOA. voaww.org. Go there, check that out, and you can find many ways to get connected with our organization. It's wonderful. We do great work in the community, as you can tell. We need your help, so please join us. And have a wonderful Friday.